At the World Economic Forum in Davos, Syria's foreign minister, Asaad Al-Shaibani, emphasized that lifting economic sanctions is key to the country's stability. Al-Shaibani argued that these sanctions, initially imposed on the Assad regime, are now detrimental to the Syrian people, crippling the nation's economy.
Now we inherited a lot of problems from the Assad regime, but also we inherited these sanctions, and we should remove it and lift it soon because it was in the past put for the Syrian people, but now it's against the Syrian people, if you have a development vision. You mean it was put in order to help the Syrian people in their struggle against the Syrian regime, but now it's a penalty on them. Yes, removing the economic sanctions is the key for stability of Syria.
With over 90% of Syrians living in poverty and the cost of living having tripled in the past 3 years, the need for economic relief has never been more urgent. Nearly 14 years of conflict have destroyed Syria's infrastructure, leaving essential services like housing, medical facilities, and the power grid in ruins. The new government is now pushing for sanctions to be lifted to support economic recovery and to begin rebuilding from the devastation. Meanwhile, European officials are rethinking their approach, with sanctions continuing to target sectors like oil, banking, and the central bank. The new government is struggling to attract the investment needed for reconstruction. The EU plans to discuss the situation during a foreign ministers' meeting on January 27th, where some member states are expected to push for easing sanctions to help Syria recover. The new Syrian government is also working on privatization efforts and public-private partnerships to stimulate growth. Now, although Western governments are hesitant to fully lift sanctions without guarantees of political inclusivity, incremental steps are being taken. The United States has issued a temporary license to allow some trade with Syria, which has already led to positive developments. And this includes power plants being sent to Syria to address the country's electricity shortage. While looking ahead, the newly elected President Donald Trump has indicated a shift towards reducing U.S. involvement in global affairs, prioritizing domestic issues over international intervention. Now, this change in foreign policy can potentially benefit Syria. A less active U.S. stance on sanctions and the Syrian conflict may allow for more flexibility in addressing the country's economic needs. However, much more is needed, and without comprehensive sanctions relief, Syria's transition remains uncertain.